When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
855-3224 is the number to call if you wish, toll-free number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show. We will put you right on the air with yours truly. As far as there's a big poll out there today, the NBC Survey Monkey poll. And they asked the question of who won the debate. Now, this is quite interesting when you see it because it's not who you'd expect at first. Because one of the candidates wasn't even with the top tier. Carly Fiorina. 22% of respondents said that Fiorina won the debate, followed by Trump with 18%, and my surprise, Rubio and Cruz with 13 and 12%. And then you had another surprise with Ben Carson and Mike Huckabee each at 8%. Now, I heard some of, I heard some of Dr. Carson and some of Huckabee's responses to some of their questions. And, you saw a little bit of Cruz and Huckabee being a little bit more like Donald, being kind of blunt and forward, if you will, as well as trying to be honest. And I think the American voters, they liked that and responded to that in kind. By, pretty much. Now, I have to tell you, and I know there are some people who are not going to like this. I have to tell you something. And I'm a little, even though Dr. Carson did quite well in other people's eyes in the debate, I was a little disappointed. I think Dr. Carson's answers to some of his questions that I heard were a little bit too polished and practiced and didn't really get into depth when he had the time to get into depth. And that bothers me because he's not a professional politician. Now, I'm sure that this is probably what his handlers were probably coached him on. But Dr. Carson probably doesn't listen to my show, and he probably isn't going to take my advice. But I'm going to tell the doctor this: dump the polished stuff. Look, he wasn't wearing glasses that night. I'm sure he was wearing contacts, and he looked completely different than what we're used to seeing him. Look, here's the deal. May I be a little bit informal, Ben? Put your glasses back on and be yourself. Don't try to be this polished politician because that's not who you are. So I was a little disappointed in his performance. And again, I'm not going to say that it was him because I don't believe it was. I believe it was his advisors and his handlers and his coaches. And they tried to make him into hey, Dr. Carson, now you've got to move on from being a neurosurgeon and being presidential. Now, let me tell you something about being presidential. This country was not designed to be run by professional politicians. It was designed to be run by citizen statesmen. So I know sometimes they have to learn what actually attracts the American public. And there is one glaring example of that in our nation's history in the guise of Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln lost every election that he was in. He lost every political race that he was in until he ran for president. And frankly, that's the one that counted. But here's a guy who really wasn't, if you listen, he learned over time. It took him a long time, obviously, to finally learn what was going to resonate with the voters of his day and how to get his message across. And I know this is what we saw with Ronald Reagan. He was called the great communicator because he knew how to get his message across so the vast majority of people could understand him and fully understand clearly what he was saying. And I think this is what Abraham Lincoln had to learn. He had to learn how to get his message across so people fully and clearly understood him. And once they did, they elected him president. Now, this is going to be the same for Dr. Carson. He doesn't need to act like he's a politician. What he needs to do is to very much clearly espouse his positions so that the voter can fully and clearly understand him, regardless of how polished he is. Because, look, we've had unpolished politicians be elected before. Can we say Jimmy Carter? Can we say, George W. Bush? Obviously not very polished in his vocal regimen, and Barack Obama. I hear everybody talk about how well Obama speaks. You ever listen to Obama really speak? He's not a great orator, not at all. But he was able to get, evidently, his message resonated, evidently, with enough people to get him elected twice. Whether we like it or not, Obama he communicated well enough and clearly enough that people thought that that's what they wanted. I'm not going to get into the he lied about everything. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is that he learned what he thought people wanted to hear, and he was able to clearly express what he thought they wanted to hear, so they would then, in turn, elect him. And that's what happened. And the same thing with George W. Bush. He wasn't a great orator, but he was able to clearly get across to the American voter what he was about, what he wanted to do, what his policies were probably going to be, and the American voter liked it enough that they wanted to vote for him and elected him twice. So this is the same thing that Dr. Carson is going to have to. He's going to have to drop this long-winded, not clear answer type of professional, polished politician kind of crap because it doesn't fit him. I was kind of disappointed because it doesn't fit. Now, if Jeb Bush responded that way, and he did a few times, I wouldn't think anything of it because that's, Jeb Bush. Chris Christie, I say what I mean and mean what I say. Well, that's a bunch of bullarchy right there. But, again, it would fit him too. But Dr. Carson, that type of answering system didn't fit him. But because he did not, and maybe this is what his handlers were trying to bring across, is that Dr. Carson could be brilliant in something other than neurosurgery. And because of that, because he didn't sound like a total wimp buffoon, which a lot of people thought that he would, they thought, this guy, he doesn't have any political, gumption or any political history. He's gonna be outclassed by these other politicians. They're going to make him look like a total fool. Well, that didn't happen. And I think people looked at that and said, wow, this guy can, he can bone up. So if he can do that, maybe he can learn, quote unquote, to be presidential. And I think that's what you see in the surge of his support. But I would, he should take this and build on it by actually getting to sound more like himself. And look, I believe that Dr. Carson can emote very clearly his stances and his positions, and that he can do so also by being very detailed in his answers, and not be don't because look, one thing that is really going to probably put Donald on a slide is that he too is not being very detailed. And maybe, it's very, I know it's still early in this whole process. So now that, these a lot of the candidates are starting to put out their overview of what their policy is on many topics and issues. And that's great.